into it. It's Wildcard and Xavier playing for that last spot in the semis.
That's it. Let's get it on. Let's organize what will be the rest of the week. And this is where we finish, right? This is where we pretty much just bring all of these storylines together that we've been building for the quarterfinals. It's no ANZ team now. We could possibly be seeing Xavier come in, but realistically, for all of us here in Sydney, we are in a very loose sense barracking for Wildcard because we need to see some sort of representative when we come tomorrow.
Yep, they could be the hometown heroes or an unfortunate bailout in quarters against Wildcard. They're going to be looking at the situation, not again. They've got to be saying to themselves, not like last time, not like the time before that. This has got to be different.
Jeez.
Speaking to the bans, Capital and a Buck ban coming out on attack. Xavier really sticking this Buck ban. They firmly believe this is working against, or for them, I should say. But you know what? Coastline, don't think it really affected Wildcard's attacks a whole lot. So interesting they're going to stick it on Club. It really only helps a lot for that Church defense, opening up the floor into Arsenal to help clear it out. Other than that, maybe you can play a little bit vertically below, but it often comes with its own risks and challenges. Kaid ban coming out, very interesting. The Thatcher was left up, so not like the Kaid would have been overly difficult to deal with, unlike we saw in an earlier situation, but regardless, he's not on the board. And in classic style, the Echo is not either.
Yeah, and I mean, like, they're still going to bring the Thatcher, so it's, you know, much of a muchness, right? Like, you take him away, you leave him in. That's however you're going to play, but I guess it just makes the hatches all that much harder. In terms of, you know, the ban, I am quite surprised from Southeast Asia that we're not seeing more of the Monty double down on those bans, because for the majority of the time we see around about 25% of the matches with no Monty. And I feel like Clubhouse is definitely one of those maps that we've seen favour into I was going to say an Australian term then, but that's not going to make any sense to one. Literally just a walking wall. But I don't think Xavier are really going to be wanting to lean into that until they absolutely have to.
I don't think it's really their style either. I think to an extent that can sometimes make them a little rigid. I think sometimes when you bring a Monty, it kind of doesn't force you to play one way, but to utilize him effectively, you kind of, it means two players dedicated to one spot. And it's a little rigid, right? That Monty can only do like one thing with that. But anyway, this is the most normal Xavier lineup I have seen all day. It is actually very much what you would see on Clubhouse. It's very expected, which is unexpected for me for Xavier. So they're looking to stick it traditional here. They really want to go deep, and they want to take Wildcard out in this map. And they're on attack first, which is usually the difficult side to start on Clubhouse.
And Alibi is back.
Alibi is back, yes. That's a very interesting 6-pick too from the Jaeger. So Ethan looking to play quite loose upstairs here. They're playing this roam. And this is something we've seen a bit before, but I'm really curious how Xavier decides to deal with this. They've been slow and methodical so far, but if they're too slow with dealing with this roam, it's going to be very difficult for them to pull out any kind of execute.
Wildcard, very happy to play wherever they so please. Like Diesel's going to be starting to push in just a little bit deeper, getting a little bit more information. I'm so happy we get to hear an Aussie accent on an operator.
Yeah, got a drone.
Perfect. What happens when they get a shock drone? Can you?
I actually don't remember, hey. Yeah.
That's okay.
Hajime's starting to push this logistics here to push down these roamers. Potentially the roamers not wanting to take gunfights. You know what? It's at this stage as a roamer, you could decide to just not take gunfights and start to wander back a little safer.
Yep.
These roamers, they're relatively stuck at the moment. Xavier can very easily cut these off. But they're not being contested. We're seeing almost half the round go by. These roamers are able to do what they need. They're taking out drones. These are drones that can't be used on site now. So I've got to say this is really starting to go in the favor of Wildcard on this round. Xavier can be very explosive, but it's something that definitely needs to be dealt with.
Definitely the time not favouring the Southeast Asian team right now, so as it starts to tick a little bit further and further, it might become a little bit detrimental to the attacking side. However, we have seen Xavier pull off a lot more with a lot less. So you don't want to go ahead and dive into them too early just yet. We'll have to wait and see what kind of effect. Tunnel's been pushed all the way through so far by Lycolis.
I feel like he's just poised for some explosiveness right here. He's just itching to go through that door and take this gunfight. And I feel like they're very much aware that Diesel is alone in Arsenal. There's a potential crossfire from the church double door, but that's not going to be able to save Diesel. I think he's a pretty easy pick at this stage. If Xavier are quick enough with this execute, you know what? There's only 30 seconds. They will have to be quick. They don't have time on their side here, and they haven't really done a whole lot to pressure people on bomb site. Finally, Hajime has opened the floor to pressure Diesel here, but he's been able to rotate around here pretty freely, and like Hollis is just sitting so patiently in dirt. Ethan will flank onto healthcare. This flank coming out, Scatman gets emo. It's all falling now. Derpy gets a frag as the Maestro. Ethan with this flank, he's still upstairs, able to play it out of wherever he wants. 1v3, not to be Wildcard. Really strong defense on the back of an undealt with throne.
Yeah, this is the start that Wildcard could have dreamed for a wild roam, in fact. Saw a lot of players being quite aggressive to begin with, and they've kind of turned into it, haven't they? They've realistically been allowed to manipulate that as much as they needed to. So CCTV and Cash is where we head for the next bomb site. Anything out of the ordinary? Seems like it's pretty familiar territory, that is. Do you think we're going to see any use of the Maverick from Xavier?
Doesn't seem like it so far. They do have Habana and Thermite at their disposal, and they're a lot easier to use than the Maverick. A little more coordination involved with the Maverick. Some people have issues with his blowtorches. Yes, it still happens. I've seen it happen a lot where walls can't get open because the Maverick players potentially not quite adept with the skill, or sometimes it bugs out. But anyway, Xavier's still sticking with a relatively structured lineup here. They have opted to bring the IQ, which is something that wasn't available to them on Coastline. That was banned out by Wildcard. So they'll be bringing the IQ to help collect some intel here. Wildcard opting to bring 2 ACOGs in this bomb site, so looking to utilize some long angles. I'd say that's likely to deal with Garage. I reckon Wildcard won't want to be letting Xavier take Garage too easily, and I think those ACOGs are really going to help with that strat.
Now again, this is a map that in both of these regions do tend to favour very much so in toward the defensive side. They're about, again, on 60%, almost identically on both sides. So Wildcard will definitely want to be feeling a lot more comfortable. We do talk about Clubhouse being a little bit more defensive side, a little bit more comfortable. We've seen teams bring it back from 5-1s and those kind of score lines, but realistically, Xavier will be bouncing into this with all their brute force. And it is something that very much will favour the bold, I think.
Yeah, and speaking of, I really think this is going to be the map that Xavier do really need to put a little bit more emphasis on their time management.
Yep.
Clubhouse, you really can't lag behind with the things you need to do on attacks. So for example, Kennel's wall, you've got to get that open nice and early. There's not even any wall denial here coming out of Wildcard. This Thermite should be up here, or the Habana should be up there opening it like 15, 20 seconds in. If there is nothing there to deny it, that wall should just be open.
Yep.
People can freely rotate through the bomb site until that's open. We're finally seeing it open here. It took a minute. I just think in terms of the time management, Xavier's definitely just not really emphasized actually moving through bomb site. It's been very slow up until this point. Neo will take out healthcare. That is the Habana off the board. He used some charges, I believe, but that's still a strong operator off the board here. And half the round to go. Wildcard looking in the driver's seat again.
Yeah, they do have Cash open, so they will be able to make good use of this. They have been able to spot out that player sitting in toward Cat there. Derp8, not really interested in backing away either. Can literally sit there until Xavier force him out of there. So they don't really have, rather they do, they still have the sledge that they could possibly try and maybe throw that frag grenade up. But apart from that, it's not going to be a hell of a lot of pressure to be able to be put up unless they want to go ahead and force their way through. Diesel with that smoke is just going to be such a nuisance. It's a minute left. Xavier have made a lot more leeway this time, but they still need to be cautious.
There's just so much that they need to be doing to get this attack to be winnable. Derpa is still holding such a strong position in Garage. That position for Xavier is not really going to be possible unless they just rush take it. Nero has been down in the lounge there. We just saw that happen. And that's going to be strong because now he can't deny plant. Like Hollis has found Derpe on site. Ethan will refrag. But again, this is going to be totally hectic. It's 30 seconds to go now. Xavier trying to push.
Fortunately enough, I think there's 2 smoke waves left for Diesel, so if they want to put the pressure on, they're going to be able to. They've actually been able to get that down pretty much for free there. Wildcard have made some small kind of errors, but that's going to be huge coming through from Producer and Scatman. Diesel, what can he get done here? It is a 1 versus 2. If he can catch them out on the vault, that might have been a little bit more possible. Both players have now completely fallen back and allowed him to realistically take the site back, but a 1v2, look how defensive they're playing. He needs to get aggressive and try and find one of them, turn it into a 1v1, put a little bit more pressure on, but I don't know whether it's going to be possible. They're literally just waiting to hear that audio cue. And Diesel is in all sorts of troubles here. He may as well just save the KD at a certain point or go for more KD, which is exactly what he's going to do. But again, too little too late to make a decision like that. If he sticks it, it's not even going to work. So maybe a free kill with a shotgun. Double up on the KD, why don't you? But Xavier will be more than happy taking away that round.
Look, I've got to say, that was Wildcard's round to lose. They had all the control they needed to still hold that bomb site effectively. Derpe ended up getting fragged out on the rafters there, and Xavier just pushed straight in, and the smoke wasn't able to really deny them getting to the plant spot in the first place. I think it's a bit of a misplay and a bit of maybe miscommunication from Wildcard to let it get to that situation.
We were sitting there saying that that's prime position for Derpe, right? We were really expecting that to be quite the strong position for them to be able to make work and make do for at least holding them off for a certain amount of time. But like you're saying, Diesel were just a little bit forced and a little bit rushed to make a decision at the end there. IQ being 6 picked into the Finca, rightio. So back to the Finca we go. But look, we have a little giggle about it. You know, we don't generally see it, but it did save them for 1 round in Coastline, so...
Yeah, you can't really say that it hasn't necessarily worked out for them. I think there's definitely been situations where having the Finca has definitely helped. And there was that 1 round, as you said, on Coastline that really came to save them. So, Wildcard have gone to the gym bedroom bomb site. It's generally the least favored bomb site. People usually bounce between church and CCTV cache. So they'll be taking this instead, as they weren't able to stick the cache bomb site. Nothing really spectacular coming out of their setup so far. Very much a standard kind of strat to hold this site. Emerin looking like he's probably going to try and bandit trick onto that spy deck wall. It's a very critical wall you have to try and hold, and having that shield there means that Xavier will have to try and deal with that shield so they can stop that bandit from bandit tricking. It's not as simple as just thatchering or something to that regard. They don't have a Zofia, which is commonly used to try and help this, so that's going to really affect them. They've really only got the frag grenades. They've got 4, but they've got ADSs to deal with. That's really going to be the make or break for this round, unless they try and push all the way across from cache and just ignore it. But regardless, I think that wall getting open is too important for this.
Yes, it's quite crucial. It does put a lot of pressure back on the defensive side, because they've always got to be aware that, well, you could just leg it into gym, right? You don't have to realistically mess around for too long. Nice call from Derpe. I feel like Derpe has been quite aggressive on these opening picks, and, you know, all bar the first map, he's been quite successful with them.
Yeah, real no-fear style of peeking on operators like the Maestro. Hajime, a bit ill-advised to chuck your legs down on that hatch because sometimes that player model really messes with your positioning. But anyway, that's the sledge off. So we talked about the nades being really critical to get this shield. They've just now halved their nade count. They've only got 2. So if they can't deal with this position, it's going to be a really difficult attack for Xavier.
Looks like they might be moving back in toward cache, possibly, to try and retake from that side of the map. We'll wait and see. Of course, they still have both hard breaches up and the Thatcher, so there's plenty of options for them, but depends on how good Emo is of juggling. Feels like he's going to be on the ball with this one. In comes the Thatcher grenade. What? Hello?
Yep. All right.
Okay, that's very confusing, in fact.
Bit of miscommunication there, potentially. Maybe he thought an EMP was on its way, but not to be. They're still very scared of this bandit trick. Emo, he's going to catch this. Oh, no, he pulled it off at the last second. So, you know what? I think they're going to peace out. They're not going to try and take this. I think they've not got the right utility to deal with that position. So this is heavily switching back into Wildcard. Time ticking down, 5v3. Strong defense so far.
Yeah, if they get that wall open, things look a little bit better for Xavier. You know, the what are we saying here? The spectrum starts to swing a little bit more into the favor of Xavier, but it's kind of very much heavily on Wildcard right now. Xavier don't have a clean path into the site, and they're going to have to try and find their way in. Taking down Ethan is a very, very small step in making this achievable. I'm pretty sure Ethan was on a roam anyway, so you know, it's not exactly the greatest news for them, and they can continue to bide time. There's 20 seconds left, Raven. A 3 versus 4, they have to make decisions here.
They definitely look like they're all about to funnel straight through logistics and main stairs here, which is a really small position. Scatman will find Derpy. Somehow Xavier managed to get these opening picks, but it's shut down by Diesel and Neo, all up to healthcare. Time ticking away, he can't get it. Wildcard secure another defense round.
Bit needed for the confidence in a certain aspect for most of the players. I mean, very nicely done from Imorin. You've really got to take your hat off, but at the same time, is it more Imorin or was it the communication or the lack of for Xavier?
I think it's a mixture of a few things, communication with Xavier, but also they didn't really have the operators to deal with that, and it was made a lot harder when they lost their set of nades on the sledge really early. They weren't able to deal with that shield. They weren't able to deal with that bandit trick, and as we were saying, that was just too critical. Not only about preventing that, like legging it in as an attacker, but cutting rotations through that hallway, which we saw Wildcard utilizing quite a lot there. So, Xavier going to change up their lineup a little bit. They're going to bring the Jackal. A bit worried about these players off site coming back to bite them, so this Jackal really going to try and shut down those players.
Right, so we're going to mirror as well. Okay, I think this is the first time we've seen Wildcard bring the mirror. All 3 maps we've seen mirror available, if I'm not mistaken, or was the first as...
Sure it was up.
So...
He was probably just so used to not playing with it.
Right, I mean, at that point, you know, like, if you literally go through the regions and you have a look, let me get that stat for you. Mirror is banned 32% of the time in ANZ, 42% of the time in Japan, 22% of the time in Southeast Asia, and 27% of the time in Korea. That's for the entire APAC region in Pro League, and that's how often Mirror is banned. Especially in ANZ, you're looking at that 32%. So the fact that you actually get to use that operator, while you can, I feel like it is a give and take.
Yeah, I think Xavier really left themselves with a bit of a gap here. Like, especially to deal with this mirror. That's not going to be an easy position to flush out. Somebody playing behind that mirror, yeah, maybe some cheeky nades from the stock hatch could, if you get the right angle and the right hook length, you could potentially take out somebody playing at that mirror. But without, let's say, some smokes or some concussions or something like that, it's kind of difficult to deal with. So Blue being a bit of a linchpin in attacking downstairs, Xavier's going to struggle with that. Again, it's really going to put the onus of time management back onto Xavier, and that's not something they've been necessarily great with. Somehow they've been great with attacks, but their time management in general, not good.
So once again, we've got 2 players. I mean, Emo was caught out and unfortunately peeks directly into the line of Collis, who's not going to be missing that shot. So that's 1 roamer down. I believe Ethan's gone ahead and hot-tailed it rather down in toward the blue stairs back into sight. So the roam now is all done and dusted. Those alibi holograms are worth nothing. All sitting upstairs, but Diesel's still happy to be quite aggressive on the main stairs here. Not anymore.
Backing away, but you know what? Half the round's almost gone. Xavier only just starting to open hatches. Again, really lacking a little bit of time management here. Looks like they're going to start to favor the church push. I think they're going to have to still deal with blue, though. They need blue. Like, we've got Neo playing quite safely over there. They're not going to be able to plant anywhere in church if they can't deal with somebody in blue. Very strong position. So, something that they're going to have not much time to deal with.
Ooh, nice little haircut coming through. Although, Sledge doesn't really have hair, so, you know, you get the point.
That's a tight angle as well, so if anybody hit any shots through that, that would have been amazing. Producer Boom will find Ethan, so that's Ethan off the roam. Neo will refrag at least. Oh. And there's another engagement here, and that's the Mozzie taken off the board, and another trade. So all of a sudden, 3v1. Derpe by himself, Hajime pushing down this main hallway. We see a player in Arsenal, but Diffuser is in blue. They're going to have to go and get the Diffuser, which will be spotted by Derpe. And they're going to have to try and get back to Arsenal. Derpe misses those shots, and now that's a possibility. The plant is going down in that doorway at blue, but not to be. Xavier will close that round out. Good attack from them in the end. Really exploding back onto side a bit quicker.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about time management, how you were kind of worried about how things have been going for Xavier. That time it got to a minute 20. I think they just opened one hatch, and you were saying, they need to speed it up, 40 seconds, and they're already on site finding the refrags?
Yeah, they didn't even speed up their map control. I don't think they actually ever really got any more control, but instead of them just waiting a bit longer, they were like, yeah, let's just send it now.
It seemed like the Jackal's job was well and truly done by the time they actually made... I feel like at 2 minutes they'd been able to find Emo in, who was sitting up on Cat, just outside of Cash, and they'd also been able to flush out Ethan, who'd been holding in a similar position in Cash. So, I think maybe they might have, in a certain sense, made a smart gamble on that.
Yep. Definitely
I think sometimes you have to, right? Sometimes you have to go hard on these things.
Yeah. Definitely works out for them. And Wildcard are going to be going back up to the top floor here. They're going to be playing Cash CCTV. Same operator lineup as the last time that they played this bomb site. Hudgeman has not really got into this map so far. He is still sitting on the donut there, but otherwise, similar scoreboards to what we've seen in the previous maps. Yeah, very similar setup here from Wildcards. It's going to be interesting how Xavier deal with this. It really came down last time to how Wildcard dealt with that little push from Xavier in that last part. We talked about the strong positions they had in Garage, preventing them to take proper control in CC, but all of a sudden it just happened. Derpe died in that position, and Xavier just pushed through and had all of the control they needed in 10 seconds. On peak from Neo, but not quite hitting the head there. That would have been devastating. It would have been healthcare, I believe. It looks like he's retreated, so it would have been a big deal there, losing the Habana.
Certainly would. An audacious attempt, so... Look, pays off, beautiful. Doesn't, you get away scot-free. Generally, you're not going to be able to be traded in that position as long as you don't stick around too long and try and take too many engagements. So once again, we're going to be seeing Derpe out on toward the garage area. And hopefully this time, they'll be able to figure out whatever it was that went wrong. We weren't able to see that. It was off camera. They'll be able to fix that. They'll fix it quick, smart at that.
Yeah. I think it's really going to come down to, again, how Xavier deal with the roamers or the people playing in lounge position. We saw a couple of players off-site last time for Wildcard to play that denial position in lounge, and that is, I think, probably what was the linchpin for Garage. Serpe would have been playing Rafters, and he needed a mate. He needed somebody to stop him from somebody running up the stairs to take that pick, and I think that's what happened at the same time as that lounge player got picked off. They are struggling to get this wall open. Half the round, Kennel's wall still closed. Utility's still on it, and Emo looking pretty comfy. And again, I think Xavier are really limiting themselves with the utility that they're bringing. Really easy ways to deal with the bandit tricks is a Zofia, for example, and they're just not bringing Zofia. So now they're going to have to deal with it via nades or purely just holding the angle from the window on the opposite side of the bomb site. And it's really stalling them out. It's almost 2 minutes here, and this wall is still closed.
Definitely not the best time management we've seen so far from Xavier, and there's been some crazy time management skills being used. Now we're going to see a little bit more of an execute as it comes on through. Ethan and Neofighter both finding crucial kills there, but it's going to be traded back in. Ethan again steps up. It's all on to 2 main members for Xavier. I believe they still have control of Garage as well. A full minute left, so they've got time to rotate. They've got time to actually recover and rethink this strategy, but that's much better from Wildcard this time around.
Yeah, they really weathered that, and that totally came down to just Xavier having no other way to deal with that bandit trick so that he get that wall open other than just trying to purely frag it out or something like that. And the sledge died at that window trying to shoot the bandit, and there's still bandit charges here. Nothing's happened. Again, looking so strong for Wildcard. Now that they've got that, it's a 4v1. Definitely don't see this going in favor of Xavier. And it won't. Wildcard will close that round out. And again, Xavier just not able to get things done that they need to be doing on attack.
That is for sure. 3-2 now the score line as we head into the last round of the half. We said on map number 1, it's crucial for the attacking side to ensure that it's, when it's a defensive sided map, you try to keep it, as close to 3-3 as possible. But having said that, Xavier have looked pretty dangerous. It's just coming down to, I mean, I'm not 100% sure on what it's coming down to, if I'm being completely honest. That round, we saw 3 frags literally before you could blink, and the round was all but over without that Thatcher there to support that opening.
Yeah, and also I think this Capital ban is really coming into play here. Potentially Xavier really used to using the Capital to prevent the bandit trick, it's super easy. You can either get the long angle from garage in like the corner panel.
Yep.
You can shoot that long fire all the way through the window on that catwalk, and you can prevent the bandit from tricking. Or you can even shoot it from that window that is on the other side of CCTV. Either way, that fireball totally denies that. But this isn't something they're able to utilize. This is Wildcard's ban. And maybe that's really what's messing with Xavier. Maybe they haven't ever had to rely too much on dealing with it another way. Maverick is also at their disposal. They haven't brought that to try to deal with the wall. They're not really adapting to what is stalling them out here, and it's definitely working in the favor of Wildcard. And while that's happening, Wildcard need to win these rounds. Every round that Wildcard don't lose when this is happening with Xavier, it's in their favor.
And I think Wildcard is one of those teams that adapt decently quick on their attacking side. If things aren't really working, you know, they might try it for a second time, but they're not realistically going to make the same mistake over and over. So two different teams in their aspects and their approach to this attacking side on Clubhouse. But this time, Xavier feeling a little bit more confident about that one.
That's definitely going to help with dealing with that bandit. If they're going to try and open this wall, which it looks like that's where they're getting close to now, Xavier will help a lot. Xavier will be able to burn some ADSs, destroy the shield, but it looks like the shield is still there, and also just help in general destroy some of this utility that Wildcard are bringing. So I like this operator lineup a bit better. It's definitely a bit more versatile. Wildcard, relatively unchanged. They're pretty happy with how things are playing out at the moment, and rightfully so. I think they've found a good little groove here on Clubhouse. Some pretty chaotic ends to rounds that are just going 50-50, but I think they've got to feel confident with the way they're playing things.
They're leaving a little bit too much in the air, a little bit too much to be undecided there on the attacking side.
A little bit. Again, I just think on the attacking side here, this time management is just a little slow. Again, this is a priority kind of objective for attacking the site. And they haven't dealt with the shield. They haven't dealt with anything that Imarin is doing. He's just going to chuck these charges down and yeet the utility off the wall. So Xavier, they're going to be in the same position as they were last time when they tried to attack this, and that was not favorable at all. They all funneled through logistics.
Oh, it made things a little bit more awkward. They've still got at least one more attempt. I'm not actually, yes, we do have one more attempt on the thermite until we have to revert back to Hibana, which I don't know whether they'll even use Hibana at that point. They might just go and look, like you said, at a different sided take. Minute 10 left. Damage done to Xavier, but I think more the detrimental approach has been this jacuzzi wall.
Absolutely. They've basically focused the entire round on trying to get this done. Ethan's just wreaking havoc because they're stalled out so much trying to deal with this. They're having difficulties watching other things, and Ethan's just starting to absolutely move around freely and get these picks. And same with Neo. That's a beautiful shot on the producer boom. So now it's a 3v5 in favor of Wildcard. They're making a statement here in their defenses. They want to take this half in their advantage. 3 operators left for Xavier, 35 seconds.
So this is now do or die for the half. Scatman, that's exactly the opening we're looking for. That is going to be the Maestro taken down. So a bit of late round utility as they try to force their way in. Scatman hits an unbelievable shot. Healthcare finds Emo Rin. What can Neophyter do at range? Absolutely nothing. They're going to have to try and retake this. The diffuser is now being stuck. Neophyter makes his way into construction. Ethan can't do anything right now. He needs to get in a better position. It might all come up to Neophyter. He's sticking it from behind. And it's actually going to be Ethan from underneath. And he's just managed to make it work. Wildcard with a last breath. That is a breath of fresh air for the ANZ squad.
That was ballsy from Xavier to just rush through, and they took sight really strong, and I thought this is going to be another round. Wildcard had it in their grasp and lost, but Ethan below, he stuck to his guns and he denied. They had the pings, they had the intel, and Ethan, he knew he could stop it. So really well played from Wildcard in the end, sweating it to the last second. And they'll take that half 4-2. They'll be happy with that.
I mean, the entries that they were able to find there were incredibly dangerous for Wildcard. But like you're saying, Ethan just saving the day in literally the last round of the first half, and that leaves them with a 2-round advantage, which is absolutely huge heading into this second half. The attacking side for Wildcard. What are we going to see? Are we going to see those kind of tricks? There you go. We're not going to be taking the Thermite, but we are going to be bringing in the Maverick. A little bit of a change-up. This time they're going to be on the Zofia, where we only saw that in the last round. And even then, the last round for Xavier, it felt like they had everything necessary to make that work. And just failed time and time again.
And look, Wildcard's operator lineup is a bit more safer in how to deal with this wall. They've got backup options. They've got Emarin that can help clear utility. They've got the EMPs, but they've also got the Maverick. If all else fails, they can 100% open that wall no matter what with the Maverick. So they're more prepared, and this lineup's definitely versatile. I feel like Wildcard potentially was thinking that maybe it was going to be a church hold, to be honest, but it works for this side as well. Xavier bringing a relatively safe lineup on defense as well. These are good operators to help defend this side. Relatively aggressive. They've got the Legion, the Bandit, and the Valkyrie probably will roam as well. Wildcard have read into that. Yep. I think they're ready for this roam with the Jackal, and they're going to probably stick this Jackal for most of their attacks, I dare say.
So just for context, for those of you who might be joining at home, we are into the last quarterfinal of the APAC Pro League Finals. This is Map 3. Wildcard now back on the attacking side of the map. And realistically, I think all apart from Coastline, we don't really have too much to go off for Wildcard. We're just going to have to dive straight in. But 4 rounds to play with, technically 5 rounds to play with, is quite promising for Wildcard.
It is definitely, and so far, not too bad. They've made some map control here. They're worried about flank. They've made some holes to start cutting these rotates off, and it looks like they're starting to work on this spy deck wall. It's been a minute down, but it looks like they've prioritized pretty well here. Diesel's there ready, and he's starting to open that wall. Here's the Maverick, and they're not even going to bother trying to deal with it any other way. They're just going to open it with this Maverick. They're going to do what looks like to be a Maverick trick. So he's going to open a top horizontal line, and then he's going to open a bottom horizontal line, and that's going to destroy that reinforcement. And it means that using the Buck, not a Buck, sorry, like the Zofia or any soft breacher, they can just open that soft wall. Ethan's going to do it with just his hand shotgun.
I mean, why not? That's really nicely done from Wildcard. A good call to make.
Yeah, he's definitely Swiss cheesed that wall though, so I think it's just going to be maybe something you deal with later. He's going to open it up a bit more. But either way, it is now open and there's over a minute to go, and that means that Xavier are a little bit more stuck on site now. They can't actually just freely rotate around, which is what Wildcard were doing.
Jeez, that's a line and a half.
That angle. He's backing himself to hit that. He's very far off site, so if Wildcard do progress quickly, he's going to have a long time to come back for a retake.
Certainly will. If he hits a shot, though, if he hits that shot, it will be unreal. But I don't know whether he's going to walk into it. Actually, might be able to see a pixel of that head if he continues to try and digress a little bit further left to get that line in toward the bathroom.
He's going to bail out. He's decided it's not worth sitting there any longer. He's going to start moving back. And there's still a couple of players here in cash that Emarin looks like he's going to try and take the gunfights off. Healthcare will find one. Emo does trade back, so still 4v4, but 30 seconds to go. Not too much time left for Wildcard. They're going to have to really push onto site, try and get something happening. Neo finds a pick onto Locolis. That's a big pick. A big fragger for Xavier taken off the board. It's going to be a hectic 15 seconds here.
Certainly is. It's all coming down to this. Neofighter taking down Healthcare makes it a little bit easier. Xavier, they have a nice line, but Ethan's shutting down Producer as well. They've got the reinforced wall to stick the plant. They don't need to worry about it. Here we go. Only 2 rounds in it for Wildcard. They're inching themselves closer to the semi-final, and I think this is the first time we've seen them in a... This will be the first time we see them in a semi-final in a Pro League final. APAC Pro League final. I must make sure I sort that out.
Yes, and look, as comfortable as they might be right now, they were in this position in Season 9. They had match point on Villa, which was the 3rd map against Xavier in the quarterfinal. It came back to overtime, and they eventually lost that map. So they're not going to be feeling safe at all until they see 7 on their side, or 8 if it's OT, but damn, they don't want OT.
That is a very fair point, Raven, I must say. It's the smaller details that you need to look at. The final line, microscope, take it, scour across, because right now, Xavier, they would be feeling a small amount of pressure, and they're not going to go ahead and stay up there. They've gone directly down onto the basement.
Yeah, I think this round is big. If Wildcard can get to 6-2, that's a really big deficit to try and claw back from. It is clubhouse defense, so yeah, 4 rounds in a row. It's still achievable, but this is a big game. It means a lot. It means there's already big pressure on both these teams, and to be 4 rounds down on the 3rd map to get you into a semi-final at the APAC finals here, that's stacking on that pressure. So Big round here. Xavier can get this back. They're going to feel comfortable. It's only 2 rounds then. 2 rounds definitely feels better than 4.
It certainly does. Feels a little bit more, a little bit closer in the grasp, and when it is first to 7, every round is just so crucial. And I think a paper, scissors, rock game is intense when it's first to 7. Imagine a APAC Pro League final for the semi-finals. And there is a lot riding on these tournaments, of course. A lot of international exposure that these teams manage to pull through if they make it to the grand finals. So it's no laughing matter for any of these teams from APAC.
Absolutely, this definitely means a lot to any team, but APAC teams in particular, because it's a hard road in esports and APAC. But here we are, Wildcard. They're looking to secure themselves a match point for the chance to get into the semi-final. They've made some good time so far. Immarin's already progressed to this storage stairs, and he can hold this rotate. So this means that it's going to be a lot harder for Xavier to try and flank in general. And look, they're actually all on site, so this is going to be easier for Wildcard. They've got full map control now. They can open these hatches, use their utility, and because they've got some good operators for it, they've got the Maverick, it's completely uncontested. This hatch will go open.
2 minutes isn't too bad to be making all of this approach, considering they've been able to eliminate a lot of the roam, which we saw Wildcard lean heavily into. So now that it's done and dusted, it's all open. Wildcard have free reign almost to make their way deep in toward those sites. And it's the thing with having those hatches open, it gives you the opportunity, if all else fails, to quite literally send it, Raven.
That's it, man. Got over a minute to go. Xavier not really pushing back at this stage, so Wildcard just kind of being able to do what they need to do. Derp's going to try and open, looks like a line of sight. Yeah, he's going to use that as a line of sight, and this one might be the rotate through, but this is going to make it a little bit harder here for Xavier. He's got a nice cushy shield there, but he almost has his tail taken out. Not to be, Hajime is now aware that he's got this pressure. So much pressure about to be on Xavier for this spot here. They haven't really contested at all. They're just waiting for Wildcard to push into them. Now that shield's gone, even harder for Hajime. He's so stuck at this freezer right now.
There's Lycolis supporting from blue. Fair bit of heavy presence around toward that corner of the basement. He's all getting the information as well. So now he's going to have to move. Derp finds Hajime, and Neophyter finds Lycolis through the smoke. It's all up to the decisions that are made right now. Derp shuts down healthcare. They swing through. The trades are good from Ethan. And it's all on a Scatman, 1 versus 4, but he's slowly but surely picking them apart. Maybe might be able to find himself another kill, but as long as Wildcard realistically play this a little bit more passive, this is another round on the board for the ANZ team.
They've got some fantastic post-plant positioning here. They've got one that's already gone upstairs. You can hold this from the hatch. You can't long-arm this without the hatch player seeing you. Potentially maybe an edge of you, but either way, it's going to be difficult. And not just that, there's player main stairs, which is now taken out by a Scatman. It's a 1v2, but not to be. The prone player in Moto will take him out, and we have Wildcard on match point to get into the semi-final. That's
nuts. 4 rounds they're going to have to work here, Xavier, if they want to bring this back and be the second team that will be representing that Southeast Asian region. They're definitely going to need that.
Yeah, this is where Wildcard need to keep their composure. They need to stay focused. They need to not change anything. They're going to have to go back to a top floor bomb site. And Xavier, they're going to have to claw real hard. There's a lot of rounds ahead of them here, and it's not an easy road.
No, they will be taking some time right now. They've got the attack pause called because match point, series point, APAC Pro League finals on the line here. No laughing matter, no small matter at all. And both teams look relatively calm. I'd say both coaches have had quite a bit to say to both sides of the team. How instrumental do you find these attack pauses to be, Raven?
They really can be super effective. It really depends what the situation is, what's going wrong, whether it's just like a pure error in strats or whether there's a total like mindset collapse. Either way, really the use of these timeouts is to break some kind of pattern.
Yep.
Whether it's an anti-momentum pattern, like your other team has a lot of momentum, you just want to break that, or whether your team they're down in the dumps and you can just hear that things are going bad. You want to be able to break that pattern so they can get some positivity back, some energy, and start to bring it back. So That's definitely what Xavier are going to be looking to do. On the terms of Wildcard, they're just going to want to be staying composed. That's the error we see a lot of teams when they get to this point, and it's difficult to lock it out because their positive composure or the high energy they had, it shifts a bit. So they're going to have to hold that. They've got 4 rounds to play with, so they've got a bit of room for error. But they won't want to drag it out too long. They'll start to fear what happened in Season 9.
Flashbacks can be a problem, that's for sure. Whether or not they're even going to allow Xavier to get a look in this game, all comes down to these kind of rounds. When you are on match point, how do you stand out? How do you step up? I'll tell you how, you win the damn round. That's one way to do it.
That'll do it. Look, Xavier have gone to the same bomb site, Church. Not a whole lot different. Looks like maybe they're going to try and roam a little harder, which I think is a good choice. I think the decision to turtle on that last defense, totally, you could say it almost cost them the round. They really didn't push back against Wildcard. Not even like a cheeky little peek on main stairs, which happens sometimes. So Wildcard just took the entire map. They were able to do what they needed to do. We talk so much about on Clubhouse, there are certain things you have to do on the attacks before you can actually get an effective execute. And so Wildcard were able to do those with a lot of time and a lot of intel. This time it looks like Xavier might be playing it a bit different. We'll wait and see how it pans out. But they've got an alibi, which really indicates that's what they're going to do.
So, it is coming down to the wire. Wouldn't have it any other way now that, of course, Wildcard are starting to realize that there was someone upstairs. They will at least take a little bit more time. By the 2-minute mark, Wildcard were already starting to open up the hatches, I believe, in the previous round. So like you're saying, it's little nitty-gritties that just come in to make a whole story for us. Producer not sure where to throw the last Prisma. And look, Wildcard have already figured out that roamer that was up there is already down on the bottom site. So maybe a turtle again here.
Yeah, this Jackal being really effective from Wildcard. Not much of a roam ended up coming out of Xavier, but if there was, it would have been found out pretty quick. Some could argue that maybe they should have been banning the Jackal instead of the Buck. I really don't think the Buck has affected anything that Wildcard's doing. They're not even bringing a sledge. I don't think that's something that they're really favored. So they're just having their way. It's half the round done. Hatch open. Wildcard progressing closer and closer to a berth in the semi-finals here at the APAC finals. They're just trying to flush out these positions of the Xavier players. They are all on site again. They are turtling again. So it'll be interesting to see how they decide to push back on Wildcard this time.
Certainly so. In a minute left. This could be a minute left of Xavier's entire APAC Pro League finals. There is a fair amount of pressure on that Southeast Asian team. Wildcard have had their free pick in the past 2 rounds with where they've wanted to attack from and how they've wanted to do it.
A bomb has been located.
Will they realistically be able to step up to the plate? Or a Wildcard going to knock them out?
Getting closer and closer to the execute time here. 30 seconds to go. The smoke's starting to trap out this Habana from main stairs, which wasn't something that worked effectively last time. Neo will find that opening frag for the round. It's so deep into the round. 5v4, 20 seconds to go, Manic. Wildcard, they're searching for this victory here. Healthcare low, they're so close to this. Can they close it out?
It's going to be Neo Fighter taking down Producer. Here is Wildcard, but Xavier steps up. Maybe it's not done just yet, like Collis. He picks up 2. It's going to have to be the stick. Derpe needs to cover for his teammate. They might be able to slow this down, but no Healthcare from behind. They keep Xavier in it for another round, but at this point, it is realistically 1 by 1. They have to take it in each moment.
What a close round, and a nice flank there coming out from Healthcare to secure the round for Xavier. The pressure's up. You can feel the tension in the room now. Wildcard, they're on match point. They're trying to secure this, but Xavier, they're fighting back. That round wasn't too bad. It actually looks all right. Wildcard had the advantage going into that execute, but Xavier had a really good read, and they were able to play around it, and they clawed it back. So here we are. Ethan on the Nook. Nice, 6 picked off. Oh, that was exciting for a second.
Get baited in, son. Well, let's wait and see. We do see the sledge now. And this wouldn't be the first time I've seen the sledge in club, so I was going to say maybe. I don't know. It's getting late, man. It's getting late. Saving for the moments, you know. Savoring all the action. As right after this, all of our semi-finalists will be organised. So far, we've got Aero Wolf, Norarengo. We also have Cyclops. Just need to secure that last and final spot. But at this point, there's no Korean representative. And hell, at the end of this, there might not be an ANZ representative.
It's still possible. At the moment, ANZ in this match, on the match point here.
Ooh, Neo.
Neo going off, 16 frags. He's really stepped up for his team on this map.
Scatman as well, though. As you may, unfortunately, only on the donut.
Yeah, he struggled a bit on this map. I think one thing that's worked really well with Wildcard is they've brought a very versatile attack lineup, and they've just played it for every bomb site. They haven't really... It doesn't look like they've really tried to play the game of what bomb site are they going to be next? Should we bring double hard breach? What should we do? They're just bringing this lineup every time. I think that helps so much when you attack. There's already a lot to think about, a lot to coordinate, a lot you've got to do. And if your operator is just the same every time and it's basically the same objective, then that just helps clear it up a bit. They're just going straight to work on that wall with the Maverick. Good time management so far here from them. And Xavier so far not really resisting at this stage. It's something they've actually started to do on defense on this map. They're not really resisting a whole lot on defense.
No, and this is... You know, I don't want to flat out say that this isn't the Xavier that we're used to seeing, but I feel like it's not the Xavier that we're used to seeing. So, how are we realistically going to be getting from where we are right now to having Xavier bring it back and head to overtime with us? Well, it's the matter of inches, it's a matter of trades. So far they've been quite successful here, Wildcard, in being able to open up a couple of walls. Believe that'll be the cash and the jacuzzi wall open, so now they can start to make a little bit more of a joint attack. Might see somewhat of a pinch if they decide to dedicate themselves over that side.
Lycolis is in a bit of a precarious position in the master bedroom here. He did get droned out, but he didn't really retreat. He just kind of sat into a safer spot. So Derbo's going to re-drone it out now. They're going to be aware again of this position, and they're progressively pushing in closer and closer. This could be a really big tell here. If Xavier are able to get a couple of these picks on the roam, that could really change how this round plays out. But if Wildcard shut down these roamers, that is 2 off site. Lycolis with the run out, that could be big. That's Diesel off the board as the Maverick. Pushed in for the refrag though, so a nice trade. Less than a minute to go here. Wildcard are going to have to start setting up for more of an execute. They look like they've rotated away from that Kennel's wall, so maybe swing back into the favour of Xavier.
Haven't been able to funnel that player out in toward Cat either, so Garage is pretty dirty. You can hear the call-outs coming now. They're starting to figure it out. Wildcard are starting to pick the number, and as they start to pinch on in, this is going to come down to some individual fights, some individual brilliance for both of these teams. But it could all come down to one simple mistake, and they're going to be able to force their way in here. That's the real question, Raven. We've got 15 seconds left. And on this, an entire semi-final lies. It's Healthcare and Scatman doing the work here for Xavier. Dirtbase trying to make room, but he can't get anything done. Ethan goes down as well. Xavier, they are clawing their way back in here.
It's getting spooky manic. Here we go, Xavier on the comeback. It's 6-4 now. It's only 2 rounds. That's going to feel winnable for Xavier. So Wildcard, they've got to claw it back here. They've got to regain some composure. They just need 1 round. 1 round and they will secure their semi-final. Xavier, they're getting a taste.
They certainly can. I can smell it in the air. Semi-final is in touching distance. Well, at the very least, overtime is in touching distance here for Xavier. But I can't stress enough, one small mistake, one misinterpretation of communication, little slip of the hand, and that is it. It could be all over.
So we will see the Gym bomb site, Gym Master, coming out. Last time that Wildcard attacked this bomb site, they did so with some great efficiency. They had some good entry, and it was a relatively comfortable round win. I think they still had 3 alive. It was a good attack. So Xavier are going to have to adapt to that. So far, they've done a relatively good job adapting to what Wildcard has brought them. I think in that last round, Wildcard kind of ended up spreading themselves thin. They did really great opening that Kennel's wall, but they really focused over to Master to deal with those roamers. That took a lot of energy, and that took some casualties. And in the end, there were still 2 players stuck on the con side where they hadn't really used much utility or put much work in. And it meant that funnel through Kennels was a bit easier to shut down for Xavier. Potentially a misplay there from Wildcard.
5 seconds left.
Moving on to this round now. And Xavier trying to play strong.
The decision that is going to be made here. We've seen this from Xavier. Going to be bringing a... Well, they're bringing the hopes of themselves. I was going to say the hopes of the nation. They don't need to worry about the nation. The nation's represented. On the flip side, not so much.
This team's predominantly from Thailand, whereas they're all from Singapore, so
okay,
they're kind of bringing the hopes of the nation.
Yeah, look, I think we can definitely lean into that, so thank you for correcting me there, Raven.
So far, not too bad for Wildcard here. They're poised to start doing the job that they need to do. This wall could start being opened by the Maverick. Diesel with Diffuser over that side, so potentially looking for a Jim execute again. That's a late camp thrown out by Producer Boom. Flushing out this cash position nice and early, which is also good. It's going to be Impact Trick, but the line will still open up. That will take away at least 3 of those X-Kairos, but it won't get all of them. This is going to be a really, really critical roam position here for Xavier. If they want any hope of winning this round, they're going to have to hold cash with their lives. And they've backed themselves into a pretty big corner here. Derpay could just hold that angle. He knows that he's in that corner, and Immorin finds that opening frag. That's Hajime off the board. He's really struggled, and man advantage for Wildcard now coming into the second half of this round.
Yeah, Hajime has been a huge missing piece to the puzzle for Xavier, and right now they need every piece. Well, just send that drone, why don't you? But it is very much an action of every player on Xavier right now is needed to step up. Yes, if they win this, they're 1 round closer, but, you know, again, I can't stress it enough. Everything needs to come down to the dime here. For Xavier, they are holding on for dear life. Wildcard are trying to press. They've already found the opening kill across toward Cash. Starts to open up a little bit more into construction as they start to push through. I believe there's 1 more player in construction, just being quite the nuisance at the moment. No, just in toward...
In logistics.
In logistics, just relaxing for a second, but will have the line in toward construction. Can even flank if they don't manage to clear that, which I highly, highly doubt. Raven, 30 seconds left. And it's going to come down to an explosive execution for Wildcard.
Producer Boom on the main stairs, but this round is about to go boom because Wildcard, they don't have a whole lot of control here. And Xavier have just all anchored on bomb site now. They've totally turtled. It's 20 seconds to go, and it's about to get absolutely chaotic. Diesel finds the opening pick. 5v3 now, Wildcard in favor. Producer Boom below. That's Diffuser down in the gym. Bandit is taken out. Diffuser still down in gym, but 4v1, Wildcard secure the semi-final for ANZ. First time for them making the semi-final, taking down their rivals of Xavier in the quarterfinal, finally at APAC land.
That's a big moment for Wildcard and for everyone that's stuck around. It's 10:30 at night this evening here in Sydney, and we've got still a pretty good contingent in the crowd that's obviously quite biased towards Wildcard, as you can hear from the shouts and the cheers after that. But yeah, Wildcard for their first time. This is their 3rd season now in the APAC finals, and they've managed to make it finally to the semi-finals. Something that we've sort of felt like they could do really from the outset, but now is when they finally realized that. So that must be a good feeling. But I think, again, you're going to just have to knuckle down and look to the future for Wildcard from here.
Oh, 100%. I think, you know, we've obviously always talked about Wildcard and the potential that they have. Tonight, we might have seen, you know, the glimmers of it. We might have seen the glimpse that we can hold on to. But to be honest, it's going to come down to tomorrow. It's going to come down to that rematch from the Raleigh Major qualifiers for APAC. This is where they make their money. This is where they show themselves to be a king of APAC.
Yeah, certainly. There's certainly a lot of things to think about going into tomorrow as well. But for Xavier, that is not going to be the case anymore. I mean, they've similarly to Wildcard, had a few seasons under their belt now of APAC Pro League finals, and this is the first one they actually haven't made to the semi-finals. So that is definitely going to be a bit of a rude awakening for them.
Definitely. It's going to be a strange feeling for them not making the semi-final. They would have been backing themselves for sure to take out Wildcard again based on the confidence of last season. So Xavier, look, I think they played fantastically, but some issues there that carried through all 3 maps, and I think it really came to bite them on Clubhouse. And I dare say, potentially for Wildcard, this was one with the veto. I think it really exposed some of those flaws of Xavier.
Yeah, I mean, do you think it was that, Rob, or do you think it was something to do with Wildcard maybe stepping up here, having finally had that extra experience, a couple of seasons under their belt at the finals, or is there something else to it?
Look, I do think toward the end of that veto, I saw, Coast and Clubhouse come through, and I really felt like it was going to favor Wildcard, but at the same time, I think that this is a combination of the pressure that has been put on Wildcard's back. They're sick of kind of living in shadows, and we've talked about living in shadows this entire weekend, or rather today. It's just been one day, but we spoke about this yesterday when we were, getting ready for this event, and the shadow that Fnatic has cast over the ANZ region. It's great to see Wildcard now being able to step out into the light and gain a little bit more attention in that way.
Yeah, it certainly does make people sort of look and, I guess, take notice of Wildcard once again. Not that they wouldn't have already, but as Augurless, okay, that's one thing, but now to be able to do it under the Wildcard banner, I think that probably is a bit of a weight off the shoulders of this roster as well, surely.
Absolutely, and we're touching about the shadows of teams that have been cast on teams here, and I think this day in general has really highlighted the development of APAC. Look at the teams that have come through. This is another second seed team to go through. In fact, Cyclops is the only first seed team that's made it through to the semi-finals now. I think that really shows the depth of all these APAC teams.
Yeah, a lot of questions that we aren't able to answer for you, but maybe Danny Kim will be able to get those answers for us. He's down on the stage, ready for an interview.
Thank you very much, Jordan. I'm here with Diesel from Wildcard. And I have to ask you, first of all, I saw you. There was a bit of a fear factor coming in from Xavier, and I looked over to your team, and it was relatively silent. I have to ask, is that focus, fear? Why were the comms a bit lacking there towards those last few rounds?
We weren't really scared or nervous. We were just trying to figure out we knew how to attack. We were pinching them just slowly, just trying to work the picks, just pressuring each side. We went a bit slow for those 2 rounds that we lost in the end, and we just sped it up. We knew what we had to do.
You had it. You felt like you had it.
Yeah, I felt like I had it.
And obviously a bit of a white whale here in Xavier, and the APAC finals haven't been past this sort of quarterfinal stage. Is there a bit of relief, or is it straight on to the next team?
Well, I'm fairly new to the team, so I haven't experienced as many hoodoo about getting past the quarterfinal stage. But beating C9 at the Riley Qual LAN, that was a big step for us. And then yeah, we're just focused on improving ourselves as a team, and that's it. Just playing well on the day. Don't really think about anything else.
And of course, you guys you're meant to say I love you too.
I love you too.
There you go. And of course, tomorrow, Cyclops, the ones that have been touted to go all the way through, maybe one of the strongest ones here. What's the approach going into this one?
Well, we know Cyclops are really strong. Their gunplay is really good. Their team play is really good. Their pressure and aggression. We got a taste of that at the Riley Qual LAN. We were so close. Took the first wave on Coast. We've been scrimming more aggressive teams leading up to this LAN, and that's what we've been preparing for. So we've got a good idea. We just need to show up tomorrow and just get it done.
All right, congratulations, mate. Keep that ANZ dream alive. We'll see you at the semi-finals tomorrow. But we'll be seeing Jordan Mays right now.